Welcome to episode 9. Our title this week is What's to Fear? So I'm going to ask Tina, what do you think the Bible says we should fear?
We're not supposed to fear anything but the Lord.
Okay, and I think a lot of people would say that, and then probably you guys were thinking the same thing. Well, you should fear God. But, guess what? There are some other things we're supposed to fear.
Oh.
Yeah, I discovered that today in doing my research. And the reason we're doing the fear topic is we had some friends mention to us some things that they're personally in fear of. And prior to saying that, I considered doing a show on fear. And brought up some things that they wanted us to pray about them fearing. Well, then it just kind of concluded that, yeah, we need to do this show on fear. So in doing my research, I expected, just like you did, just like probably you guys did, that the first thing you would see to fear is God.
Right, healthy fear of the Lord.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other, trying to define and use the Greek and Hebrew words for fear and whatever, but you just expect that the first thing that the Bible's going to tell you to fear is God. Right? But it's
what else
not.
You got?
It's not. The first time that the Bible tells us to fear something, like specifically tells you to fear, and now of course this is based on studying out of the King James Version using the Strong's Concordance. Okay, I just want to preface it with that, just if you happen to find something sooner. But the first thing that tells us to fear is in Leviticus. It's Leviticus 19:3. I'm going to read it out of the King James.
Okay.
Because that's the one that uses the word fear. But it blew me away, really, because, I don't know, I just was expecting the first thing that we were told to fear to be God. But you guys are going to die on this one. Okay, so this is Leviticus 19:3. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God.
To fear man?
No, to fear your mother and your father.
Oh, okay.
The first thing we're told to fear is our parents.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Well, it makes sense to me to think that that's probably the first thing that I feared, because I didn't know the Lord then. So I guess you fear your parents. I think it's a first. I don't know. Growing up, I guess you would have some sense of fear of them automatically. You don't have to, right? When you,
I don't know.
I don't think we grow up and think we're supposed to fear them, or we're told to fear them. But I think I did fear them.
Well, I think that if we have parents that are actually disciplinarians, then yeah, we're going to fear them. Because nobody wants to be disciplined or punished or, smacked or whatever.
And some children may have a bit more fear than others. If you take in, like you said, to the extreme, if your parents are extra.
Yeah, if they're hardcore.
Right.
Then you go a little bit further in that fear. But I think because I don't usually read the King James Version, I was shocked because in like the ESV or the NASB, it tells us have reverence or respect for your parents.
Honor your father and mother.
Right, and that's what you normally hear, honor. Mm-hmm. But the word used in the King James Version is fear, and it's the Hebrew word yah. It's to fear and to revere and to frighten. So what's interesting is that this word Yahweh is the most commonly used word for fear in the Hebrew.
Okay.
So that's interesting, because that means anytime you're seeing fear, for the most part, anytime you see fear in the King James Version, you're seeing the word Yahweh, which means to fear, to revere, and to frighten.
Frighten is a frightening word.
Yeah, sure, it's a frightening word. Well, because I think that we get the concept of reverence, because people always talk about reverential fear. But I think we get it in that we've heard it a lot, not necessarily that we can define it.
Right.
And so, Merriam-Webster, gotta love it. To revere something, or to have reverential fear towards it, is to show devoted, deferential honor to. Regard as worthy of great honor. Well, deferential, who knows, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's explain it a little bit better here. To show devoted respect and esteem or regard for another's wishes and honor.
Is implying how we should
Treat our parents. Right. Sure, because that's the first time we see what we're told to fear. This word is also the word that we use in the scriptures, which you'll find in a minute, to fear God.
Oh, okay.
So we're supposed to show a devoted respect and esteem due a superior or an elder, someone who is more experienced, more knowledgeable than we are.
Which, first of all, would be our
parents.
First ones that we meet.
Yes.
On this earth.
Right. Right.
I'm following you. I get it.
Well, and to have a regard for their wishes. That, I think, is the one that gets me, because I think a lot of times we fear our parents simply to keep our butts out of trouble.
Correct.
Honestly,
right, yeah.
We don't fear them because we want to make them happy.
Heck
my husband tries to tell me all the time, I did what my dad wanted me to do because I knew that it would keep him happy.
Right.
I didn't do what my dad wanted me to do because it would keep him happy. I did what my dad wanted me to do so that he wouldn't spank my butt.
Right. You do just
around me, or
just enough to get you by.
Yeah.
It's not like you exceedingly went out of your way just for the sheer
to make them happy.
To make them happy. Right. That wasn't not when you were a child. Maybe when you become an adult, perhaps you may want to do something out of love and kindness just to make them happy.
Yeah.
But not when you're a kid.
No, it's all
they
about
can barely do what you're asked to do, let alone anything above that.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on my kid.
And that's what I think about my Jada.
Right. They can hardly do
It's like
the minutest thing that you want.
It's like pulling teeth to try to get them just to take care of themselves.
Sometimes they don't even care whether you're going to drown them or whatever.
Right, they'll take it. That's what ticks you off even more. Love kids.
But when we were kids, we were like, okay, what do I have to do just to keep my parents off my back?
Right. Right.
And that's how you lived. You just, you made your bed, you kept the clothes off your floor, whatever the rules were, you abided by them for the sake of keeping them, at arm's length so that you didn't get in trouble.
Just enough to pacify them.
Right, not enough to have regard for their wishes.
Right, no.
Right,
no, not at all.
But the Bible tells us that that's how we're supposed to behave towards our parents. To fear them to that level, to respect them and revere them and want to do what they want us to do and
wow,
have regard for their wishes.
I might have to go back over this. Children this evening. This seems like a great one.
It is a good verse for parents, but it just kind of blew me away because I anticipated that fear God was going to be, right. But no, the first time is fear your parents.
Fear your earthly father and mother.
Yeah,
first.
yeah. Your biological.
Right.
Well, in the last part of that definition, regard is worthy of great honor. Whew. Can you imagine actually regarding your parents as worthy of great honor? I don't see that happening. Do you see that happening?
I don't think so.
But you're supposed to regard us with great honor. You might not be able to see her, but Hazel is now on set. Even though her brother is supposed to be regarding me with great honor.
Is not doing his job.
Watching her.
I wonder if he fell asleep.
Hazel, take that back into your room and ask your brother to color with you.
Look at this. She is obedient. Perhaps she has a fear. She even shuts the door on her way out. I mean, what? Perfect example.
Yeah, but unfortunately you couldn't see her cuteness, which is...
Probably not. Yeah, she's a bit too short.
Yeah, that's a shame. Anyway, so the first time that we find somebody saying, I fear God, because we still haven't reached a point in which there's the directive to fear God.
Right.
Okay. But the first time in the Bible that you find someone saying, I fear God, is Joseph.
Joseph.
Which I figured you would think was interesting, because I'm sure you were thinking Adam and Eve, and because you always go back to Genesis. And
they didn't fear.
It is in Genesis, but it isn't Adam and Eve.
Wow.
They don't say, I fear God.
But Joseph does.
But Joseph does, yeah. He says it's in Genesis 42:18. I'll let you go on that one, since you love Genesis so much.
Yeah, okay.
I know you do.
God.
Yeah.
Who is he talking to?
Well, he's talking to his brothers.
Okay.
I didn't actually do my research very well. He recognized his brothers. They didn't recognize him. Then he, goes after them and says, you guys are spies. Where are we at?
He was really good to his brothers, even after all they did to him.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but, okay. And that's a good point. Why? Because he feared God.
And he realized that even though it was their actions that did that, but it was really God's will for his life to kill him, because if it weren't for his crazy, jealous brothers, he wouldn't have ended up where, I mean, I'm sure he would have ended up in a way, but they played a significant part in getting him where he
tells them what you meant for my harm, God meant for my good.
Amazing.
Right. Yeah. I just thought that was interesting that he's the first person to say, I fear God. At this point in history, we've already gone through Noah.
Right. And he sure, he would think he... Cool.
Yeah, God says, hey, by the way, I'm
just going to put you in this boat that you made. Let's hope it works.
Yeah. And it's going to flood and rain. Too bad, just do what I tell you. And Noah never says, oh, I fear God. Joseph does.
Oh, I think, what great patience he had to do all that. Like it took him so long. He was on the boat so long, and he never quit on God, quit thinking that God wouldn't come through, even after, as I think of my life and things that you said, how impatient we are. Like, what great patience he had to endure all of that.
Well, and the whole time that he's doing it, people were picking at him.
But even on the for so long, it wasn't just like God wanted it.
Well, and that's the thing, too. I think people think, oh, well, it rained 40 days and 40 nights. Yeah, that's great. It rained that long, but over a year on a boat, because it's still at least a year. Yeah, everything was fine. So it wasn't just the rain that was the endurance. It was all this, the rest of the stuff.
Then to come out on the other side and still build an altar to your Lord and thank Him, Amazing.
Yes.
No fear.
Totally off.
Right. But what he didn't fear is what I was getting at. Through all that, you would think Noah would have had some sense of fear, and all those people making fun of him, and all that time that he, put into that boat, and to be stuck out there. No, there's no mention of fear for him through that horrific storm, and I think I would have been scared.
Or this is also Abraham's already happened too.
Right.
Fear when God says, hey, kill your kid.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, if there's no mention of that, and you would have thought that would have trusted God. Noah did too.
Well, and I think probably they did fear him. They honored him and they revered him. It just isn't the word that...
They trusted God, which probably canceled out their fear. They knew that...
Well, Joseph...
So why is he fearing?
I think he's just the first one to just out and out say, do this because I fear God.
Right. I don't doubt he will.
Yeah, because if I get vengeance on you, then I'm going to be in big trouble.
Right.
So here, I'm going to help you out because I fear God. Directed to fear God.
Okay.
And that's in Leviticus 14. Leviticus 19:14.
Do you want to read that one?
Sure, I can read it. It says, "You shall not curse a deaf man, nor place a stumbling block before the blind, but you shall. I am the Lord." And if you read it out of the King James, "Thou shalt not curse the deaf or the blind, but shalt fear thy God. I am the Lord." What's interesting here is that if you read the verses before it, so let's just go with 13. "You shall not oppress your neighbor, nor rob him. The wages of a hired man are not to remain with you all night until morning." And then it goes into, you shall not curse a deaf man, nor place a stumbling block before the blind, but you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. What's interesting is everything that happens before that point where he tells you you shall fear God is in reference to the way you treat other people.
Right.
Don't mistreat other people. You shall fear God.
Right. Don't fear what they are going to do. Fear what I'm going to do.
Well, fear what I'm going to do if you don't treat people the way that you want to be treated. It goes back to that love your neighbor as yourself. ESV, right before 9, it says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." And yours
I have the NIV, yeah.
But so it says right before verse 9, "Love your neighbor as yourself." So God's telling you, when you reap the harvest, leave some for the people to glean who are too poor, for the needy and the stranger. Don't steal. Don't deal falsely. Don't lie to one another. Don't swear by my name. Don't oppress your neighbor. Don't rob him, etc., etc. So basically, God's telling you, don't mistreat my people.
Right.
Fear me. Treat your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself, because you fear me.
And I think fearing him is more is more scarier than fearing your
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same word too. It's Yahweh. It's
right.
The same word there. And yeah, I think we probably find it a little bit easier to give great honor issue, to esteem him. You know that God could pinch you and you're dead. You know what I mean? I'm always bothered by the conversations that people have in reference to, oh, well, God is love, so you don't really need to fear him. No, you need to freaking fear God. He's God.
Right.
He's God.
He's shown himself many times through Scripture as, like, I mean, he's loving, yes, but he will crack the whip.
Yeah, he'll take you out.
If need to.
He will take you out.
Right.
Or he will let, things happen that you don't want to have happen.
Right.
I understand the whole reverential respect, fear, but, one of the definitions of Yahweh is to frighten. So, fine, revere him, but you also need to be a little bit frightened. He's God. He can strike you down with a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Is he vengeful and hateful and all those things? No, sure, but he's not going to do things to you that you don't deserve, obviously. And in fact, he treats us way better than we do deserve, but
definitely.
on some level, you need to understand He's God, and have that esteem for Him, have that a little bit of a trembling going on. Because if you have the joy of salvation, then that's awesome. You're saved, but you don't want to make Him mad either.
And if God's telling you to do something and you don't do it, and I've been in that situation, it's scary. Well, I mean, it's not something that you can just get away with. Like, you might be able to get away with another human being. God ain't gonna let nothing slide that He has commanded you to do. And don't think that He doesn't remember, or maybe you're just gonna fool Him and try to talk Him out of what it is that He's trying to get you to do, because that's a fear that I don't want to live.
Well, and I think we need to understand too that when we don't do the things that He asks us to do, experience the consequences therein. Really, they're our own.
Obedience.
There are consequences to every action. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You hear that in your science classes all the time. But what God tells you to do, then you run the risk of facing the consequences of that behavior, and that's your own fault. So I don't want you to think that we're saying, oh, God's going to get you if you mess up or whatever, because obviously that would negate the concept of salvation. But you still need to have some respect. His
word and His will for you seriously. And it's not like, there may be times that you miss those opportunities where God's asking you to do something, and essentially it's either to benefit another child of His or yourself. I don't think He asks us to do anything to bring us down.
Right. Oh, no, definitely not. Well, and He knows everything that's going to happen. So anytime He's telling you to do something, it's for your own good.
Oh, yeah. That's why we have the 10 Commandments. They're just a smidgen of what He asks us. But all of them are really to keep you safe and to benefit you. It's not really to...
Well, when you look at the 10 Commandments, they are all based on loving your neighbor as yourself. Because all the stuff it tells you, if you pay attention to what Jesus said, there are two main commandments. Love God and love your neighbor as yourself. So if you look at those commandments, then you see that the main focus love your neighbor as yourself. That's what they're all coming into. So that's why Jesus is able to sum them up. But we don't love our neighbors as ourselves, and so therefore we should fear God. And that's what He's saying here. If you're going to mistreat your neighbors, you need to understand that I'm here.
Right.
I am the Lord. It's a big deal. We're supposed to fear. So don't let people tell you that since God's love, you don't have to fear Him. That's not what the Scriptures tell you at all. Not at all. And in fact, the number of Scriptures that deal with fearing God are probably close to 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say He was pretty serious about it.
If he says it that many times, I'm sure he is.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, and the thing too is, not only does He tell us to fear Him, but He also tells us what the blessings and the benefits of so doing will be. So it's not just like, your parents tell you, oh, do this because I said so.
Love that remark.
Right, and we say the same thing to our own children.
I know.
It's just, you're like, oh, why did I say that?
Because I said.
Yeah, because I said so.
Because I said so.
And I'm the parent. Yeah, this is
my power.
Yeah, this is a dictatorship. I tell Jaden that all the time. This is a dictatorship, man. This is no democracy. You don't get to vote.
Where the?
That's right, exactly. You live under my roof. When you pay the bills, you can make the decisions. decisions. Yeah, all the stuff you heard as a kid.
How about this one is, I put you in this world, I'll take you out. So if we say that to our kids, I think that's really only rightfully found for God to state.
Yeah,
I brought you in this world, and
right.
I'll take you out.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But used to hate when my parents would say that. Why do you say that? Well, you can take me out, you know?
Did they tell you to play in traffic?
Like so, but
thankfully mine didn't either. I was a teacher for 11 years, and we would have conversations about what the kids' parents would say to them. And I had plenty of kids that their parents told them to go play in traffic. That's terrible. Especially if you have a literal child, because my oldest is very literal. And
definitely.
If I had said something like that to him when he was little, I think he probably would have gone. Bad.
Yeah, very bad. Caution.
But anyway, when God tells us to fear Him, He also tells us why. And not even the why of, because I said so, or your betterment, or anything like that, but He tells you what He's going to do for those who do fear Him. So, right now we're going to go through a whole bunch of scriptures. Like a lot of them. And I'll put them up on the website, and I'll put them up on the YouTube channel so that you can go back and read them. But I didn't want to just put like little pinpoints on them. I wanted to actually read them. Because I don't want you just to take my word for a summary. I want you to hear His word when He talks about why you should fear Him. So we are having troubles. They're not wanting to cooperate today.
Okay.
For right now. It's flashing. Psalm 25:14. I think maybe we need some more batteries. So if that's the case, we're going to have to invest in 9 because they run out too fast. So, out of the ESV, and then I'm going to tell you some of the other translations. Isn't that awesome? Friendship of the Lord is for those who fear Him.
That He calls us friend.
Oh, I know.
To it,
I know, because we so don't deserve to be His friends. Especially after all the junk that we've done in our lives. And I say junk loosely because my husband doesn't like me to say the other word on our show. He doesn't. He gets upset with me when I tell him that I said that.
At least you're being obedient.
I'm trying, but I say that word all the time. I caught myself.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Sure. For Chris.
Not that he even watches this, so he wouldn't know the difference anyway. But in the ESV, it says that God's friendship is with those who fear Him. In the King James Version and the New American Standard, it says His secrets are with them. And the NIV says He confides in those who fear Him. Okay? So I was thinking, well, why is it so different? His friendships with us in the ESV, or he tells us His secrets in the King James and the New American Standard, or He confides in us in the NIV. Well, in considering those things, if you're my friend, I share my secrets with you. I confide in you.
I feel that.
Right?
Of course.
I think of my best friend Susan, and I have no problem telling her just about anything. She's my best friend. I'll tell her my secrets. I confide in her.
Trust that she's not gonna word.
Well, Susan would never do that anyway.
Susan fears.
She does not fear me. That's funny. Susan, I know you don't fear me, so. I just thought it was interesting because the ESV kind of just summed it up by saying his friendship is with those who fear him, whereas the other ones are more specific. He tells his secrets too. He confides in. Restates the secret telling and the confiding, and because a covenant is a promise, right? Right. So God makes his promise, his friendship, his relationship with people who fear him. Because really, if you didn't fear God, then you would never come to salvation. First of all.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Because what do you need if you don't fear God? There's nothing. You don't need anything. Right? You can handle it all on your own. Death is the end. That's it.
What do you got to lose?
Right. But once you realize there's hell or heaven, then you go, I probably need God. If you have any intellect at all.
We didn't get here, but
By a conglomeration of particles.
yeah.
Swamp mud.
Yeah.
So, first of all, if we fear God, we become his friends. We become people that he trusts, that he shares his secrets with, that he confides in. And, if that was the only thing that happened because we feared him, I think that would be enough.
Oh, yeah.
To be called God's friend, to be someone that God trusted enough to tell his secrets. Here's the Bible is the whole God's secret. It's everything that he wants us to know. And we're told by Paul that you can't understand the words in this book unless you have the Spirit of God in you. Right?
Yeah.
Which is based on salvation. You don't get that Spirit until you are saved. And once you are saved, then God can... spiritual understanding. So until you have that relationship with God, which you don't have until you realize that you need to fear him, then the Bible really makes no sense to you. It's a big joke.
Like our friend said this Friday in our study room, she thought it was
she said it was comical. Before she was a believer, she said she thought the Bible was comical and that it made no sense.
But now she can't get enough of it.
Right.
It makes perfect sense. What a testimony there.
Well, because now she has the Spirit.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And I'm glad she is saved because it was hard being her friend after I was saved and she wasn't saved.
Yeah, sure.
Because when I want to talk about
you didn't have anything in common.
God, she
wanted to make fun of it.
Right. Love you, by the way. You know who you are.
And we know you'll be watching. So the first thing is that he's going to be friends with us, which is a big deal. If we fear him, he's going to be friends with us. He's going to trust us. He's going to confide in us. He's going to share his secrets with us. Those secrets and those confidences being found in the Word of God, in the Bible. So the next time that we're going into what he says about the gifts or the blessings of fearing him is in the Psalms. And we're going to stay in the Psalms for a while. So we're going to turn to Psalm 31. And it's going to be in order. So this should be an easy flip through. Okay? So we're looking at Psalm 31:19. Go ahead, you can do that one.
All right. How great is your goodness, which you have stored up for those who fear you, which you bestow in the sight of men, on those who take refuge in you.
Okay, so God is good, right? We hear that all the time.
Always.
And the response when you hear God is good, if you attend a church, people say all the time.
Right.
Right. So not only is God good all the time, but he stores up that goodness for those who fear him.
Unbelievable.
You like it?
I do. I love it.
All right, well, try Psalm 33:18 through 19.
Oh, close. It says, but the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him. Love that. On those whose hope is in his unfailing love, to deliver them from death and to keep them alive in famine. Famine. That's fine. I want you to think about that. His eyes are on those who fear him. So he's watching you. He's keeping track of you. He knows how your life's going. He knows what's going on in your life. The eyes of the Lord are on you if you fear him. But then it tells you why. To deliver you from death, to keep you alive in famine. And so basically God's saying, if you fear me, I'm going to watch over you. Freaking awesome? Okay, it just gets better, all right? So the next one is Psalm 34:7. And your light's off. Okay, you're back on. Okay. It says, the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them.
Okay, I loved that one. When I saw that one in there, I was like, oh, man. That God puts his angels around us. If we fear him, they'll rescue us. They'll deliver us. They'll defend us.
Protect us.
Yes.
I love that. And I say that too. How sometimes I don't fear anything, because there's times, I mean, I know my eyes cannot see them, but I do feel protected. Even when you're driving down the interstate 70 plus miles an hour, think of how really delicate we are as creatures and how easily our life can be taken, you know? Like, the coincidence that you've made it these many years without any sort of protection, you know? I mean,
but if
really on this, it's just amazing things that we survived through. And that coulda, shoulda, woulda happened. Someone on your side. Has to be.
Yeah, well, apparently if you fear him, there's the angels encamped around you. So that it's supposed to create this visual camp. The Lord is, then he's surrounding you. You know, just think of yourself and a bunch of little tents.
That's the thing. Encamp makes me feel like they're there to stay. They're not just visiting. It's not like the angels are visiting and they're going. They're
encamped, right?
They're staying.
Right.
They're in no hurry.
Right. They got nowhere to go but to watch after you, to deliver you, because you fear God. So the title of the show, What's to Fear? Yeah, there are things scripturally that we are to fear, but really, if you're fearing God, then what's to fear?
Right.
His eyes are on you. He's storing up goodness for you. His angel is encamped around you. Really?
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and that's not even it. It's not even over. We go to 85:9. Psalm 85:9.
Now we're flipping some pages.
Yeah, you got to flip a few.
All right. 85:9 reads, surely his salvation is near those who fear him, that his glory may dwell in our land.
Okay, so you fear him, he saves you.
Like you were saying, like
right.
Fear is what
brings you to salvation.
Right.
Yes. You fear God, he saves you. 103:11. Now we're going to blow through these like I told you, but I'll write them down so that you can see. We're at 103:11 now.
It says, for as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those who fear him.
As high as the heavens are above the earth.
That's pretty high.
Right? Okay, you think about it, you just, to the stars. And I love to go out at night and just look up at the stars because I'm just so enamored by how beautiful they are. But if you think about his love being that far above the heavens for those who fear him. Am I blowing you away with these?
Long way up.
Is
That's a lot of loving in between.
Yeah, it is a lot of loving, but it pays to fear God, guys.
Yeah, it's not like you walk around shaking in your boots because that's the way he said it. He's doing this for your best interest.
Yeah, well, and
Got your best interest in mind.
well, that word Yahweh, because this is all, Yahweh or a derivative of Yahweh, and it's basically, esteem me, show respect to your elders, desire to give me what my wishes are, right? To meet God's desires for your life. And so far we've seen he's going to call us his friends. He's going to trust us and confide in us. He's going to store up goodness for us. He's going to watch over us to keep us alive in famine. He's going to
Protect us with his angels.
have his angels encamp around us. He's going to save us. And this last one, his love is so huge for us because we fear him. Okay? We're still not done. 103:13.
Oh, close. It says, as a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him.
He's going to be compassionate with us too, like a daddy.
Makes sense.
Just because we fear him.
Beautiful.
Right? Okay, we're still going. 103:17.
All right. It says, but from everlasting to everlasting, the Lord's love is with those who fear him, and his righteousness with their children's children.
Okay.
Oh,
So now we're not only are we blessed, but our children are blessed because we fear him. From everlasting to everlasting, his love on us and our children's children. So not even just our children, but our grandchildren. Hazel's babies.
Ooh,
Right?
he's taking care of us.
Because we fear him. We revere him. We esteem him. We give him the most honor.
Wow.
How about 111:5? I told you there's a lot of them, and that in and of itself is encouraging to me, as far as why we should fear him, because he took the time to delineate to us what the benefits of that fear are.
And just through Psalms. I mean, look how many just in Psalms that
Yeah.
show.
Well, which also tells you that David understood, and the other psalmists, they understood the benefits of fearing God. They felt them. 111:5. Yeah.
He provides food for those who fear him. He remembers his covenant forever.
He's going to feed you. And we know Jesus tells us that when we discussed last week and the week before in reference to worry. You fear God, he's got you covered. He's going to feed you. He said he was going to keep you alive in famine. It's the same basic concept here. 111:10.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All who follow his precepts have good understanding. To him belongs eternal praise.
Yeah. I personally love that one. Because when I think about, the fear of God, I always think about is the beginning of wisdom. And being someone who is educated and appreciates intellect, the concept of fearing God equating with wisdom, to me, is big. So I want to fear him if it's going to make me wise. Even more than, the being watched over and all that. That's what really drives me, is this concept of, if I fear God, he's going to bring to me wisdom and understanding. I think that's incredible.
It's a great gift, because really, I mean, what wisdom cannot be taken from you. I mean, maybe when you get elderly or whatever, but I love what you always say is that study to show yourself approved.
Well, that's scriptural.
Right.
Right.
But that's wisdom. That's wanting to obtain the wisdom of God's word, and that's a great gift. That's something that, has benefits in itself as well.
Well, and he tells us that we're going to have that if we fear him.
Right.
Because he's going to share his secrets with us. He's going to give us his wisdom. He's going to give us his understanding if we fear him.
Right.
Right.
Beautiful.
How about 1:15:13?
He will bless those who fear the Lord, small and great alike.
Yeah, so you don't have to be, Joyce Meyer or I don't know who else I would throw out there. A.W. Tozer, he's dead, but whatever. You don't have to be those people that are great in the kingdom or that people think are great in the kingdom. You can be little old Tina and little old Ginny or little old Hazel, whatever. And God, as long as you fear him, he's going to bless you.
And he does.
Well, and unfortunately, I think we don't acknowledge those blessings.
We take them for granted.
Yeah, because there are blessings that, other people don't have, and we do have, and we just expect that we should have them.
Right.
Like a place to live. Or the fact that we live in a country in which we're not going to be thrown in jail for having Bibles on our laps.
Right.
So he blesses us even if we feel like we're poverty-stricken and sad and depressed and whatever. He's still blessing you.
He is enough.
Indeed. Try 1:18:4.
It says, let those who fear the Lord say, his love endures forever.
Forever. He loves you forever. You fear him, he loves you. 1:45:19. Now you got to flip a few pages.
Getting there. Oh, I went too far. 1:45:19. As he fulfills the desires of those who fear him. He hears their cry and saves them. That might be my favorite one.
Yeah. I think probably a lot of people like that concept of he fulfills the desires of those who fear him.
Gosh.
But the better part, I think, is that he hears your cries and saves you. Because sometimes I feel like we cry out to God and we think that he doesn't hear us. Because he doesn't respond as immediately as we would like.
Right.
But if we fear him, if we're in that relationship with him, he hears us and he will save us. Of course, it's nice to think that he gives you your desires. But the thing about desires is that you have to understand that when you're walking in relationship with God, he's molding your desires.
Oh, yeah.
To match his.
Right.
So your personal desires might be to have $1 million in the bank account, but that's not feasible and not what he has planned for you. So when he's talking about desires, he's talking about his will.
Right.
Of course. All right, so 1:47:11.
All right. It says, the Lord delights in those who fear him, who put their hope in his unfailing love.
I'm going to tell you that I like this one particularly because pretty soon my book on delighting God is going to be available on the website. That's the one I was just telling you about that got edited. Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the 10 things that God delights in, which you will discover if you get the book. But he delights in us.
Those who fear him.
Right.
He likes it.
Yeah. He finds pleasure in it. Makes him happy. Yeah. So, you hear all these things that God will do for you for fearing him, but at the same time, in fearing him, you're making him happy. So, right, what are you here to do? To please God. To bring him glory.
Because he designed you.
For that purpose.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go into Proverbs now. And I love Solomon because, obviously he was the wisest man to walk the planet. So that has great value to me in my studies is, stuff that Solomon has to say because he's brilliant. But he's brilliant because of God, not because of himself. The first one is Proverbs 1:7.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Isn't that the truth?
Well, and we were talking about kids and how you just want to get by with your parents because you don't want to be disciplined. As kids, you're fools.
Right.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Don't know no better. Idiots.
Well, it's true. I mean, really, you don't learn until you
do the darndest things.
Yeah, Bill Cosby. Solomon reiterates several times the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, or knowledge, or insight is the words that he uses there. The next one is Proverbs 9:10.
I love how it's in order.
Yeah,
Clever.
I was good that way, wasn't I?
It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder there if Solomon was writing about Christ.
Oh, I see.
Is the Holy One that he's referring to God, or is the Holy One he's referring to Christ?
Because he uses...
Is understanding.
But he says the fear of the Lord. And then
it's a separate thing. Right.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps.
Yeah, because if you have the knowledge of Christ, then you're going to have understanding of the Scriptures, because Christ is who provides us the Spirit.
Right.
So it's an interesting thought process. Proverbs 10:27.
The fear of the Lord adds length to life, but the years of the wicked are cut short.
Yeah, so that kind of destroys Billy Joel's song, Only the Good Die Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Billy Joel, right?
I believe so.
I think so. Yeah, no, according to this.
It's inaccurate.
Yes, that's an inaccurate statement. Proverbs 14:26 through 27.
It says, he who fears the Lord has a secure fortress, and for his children it will be a refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, turning a man from the snares of death.
A secure fortress turns you away from death, protects your kids.
And for his children, that's what I was thinking, for their children.
Yeah, so, fear of God's a big deal, guys. Big, big deal. We're now at Proverbs 15:33.
The fear of the Lord teaches a man wisdom, and humility comes from honor.
Again, wisdom is gained out of fearing God. So we're at 16:6.
Through love and faithfulness, sin is atoned for. Through the fear of the Lord, a man avoids evil. Ain't that the truth?
If you fear God, then you will stay away from sin.
Right. You don't want to do it.
Right. And it's not even so much you don't want to do it because you're going to get a smack on the wrist, but just because you don't want to hurt him.
You don't want to disappoint him.
Right. And that goes back to that definition about wanting to regard his wishes.
Right.
You just don't want to. You don't want to make him disappointed. You don't want to make him sad. You don't want to make him go, oh. Even though, of course, he's not going to, because he knows whatever you're going to do and all that. But in you, and the human part of you, you don't want to hurt his heart, because he's God and he loves you.
Right.
Beyond the heavens.
I don't want to disappoint him. I know. And when I was a kid, I really did want to make my parents happy. I don't think about, getting their every wish, but as far as just doing what I was supposed to do, like grades and stuff, I would be more disappointed that I disappointed them. You know what I mean? It would make me sad that they were disappointed in me.
Yeah.
They know that I could do better, and I didn't want to come home and let them know it, if I made a bad grade or whatever the case was, just the disappointment in their face. So think of God, and when you stand before him, I don't want that disappointed look on his face. Shucks, Tina, how many times you dropped the ball down there,
Right.
I knew you could do better than that. I know you knew better, Gosh, how many times have I walked you around and...
Well, the good thing is he won't ever say that to us.
Yeah.
But in our humanness, because the only examples we have are our parents,
Right.
That's how we have a tendency to view his view of us. But that fear of him is what keeps us from evil. It keeps us from wanting to sin and to do things that would
disappoint him.
Yeah. Proverbs 19:23.
It says, the fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble.
Untouched by trouble. And that doesn't mean that bad stuff's not going to happen to you or in your life, but it just focuses on the fact that he gives us his peace.
Right. In the midst of trouble.
Right. So you're not touched in that you haven't been moved in your faith. You're not swayed in your relationship.
Right.
Right. 22:4.
Humility and fear of the Lord bring wealth and honor and life. Hey.
Wealth and honor and life.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Are you going to complain about that?
Humility and the fear of the Lord.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big thing too, is being humble, and we'll probably at some point do a show on humility, because I don't have any.
Something you have to work on, right?
Yeah.
Come naturally.
Yeah. Sad but true. I hope that in the quickness of reading all those verses that you were able to see just how blessed you are if you will fear and revere and respect and esteem and honor God.
It's for your benefit.
Yeah, I mean, just go back and read them. Like I said, I'll put them up on the site. Go back and read those verses, because there's a reason to fear him. There's a beneficial reason for you to fear him.
And if he said it over 1,000 times.
Yeah, fear God. It's close to 1,000 times.
It must be pretty important.
Yeah, to him it is. I am the Lord, he says. There's some other things that we're told to fear, which is interesting, because I think most people believe that we aren't supposed to fear anyone. We're also told to fear the king or our masters if we're slaves, which is interesting. But the final thing that we find in the Bible that we're told to fear is not entering God's rest.
Is to not fear?
No, the final thing that we are to fear is not entering God's rest.
Oh, that's fearful.
Right. And that's in Hebrews 4:1. So we're going to read that for you, and the Greek word is phobeo. Phobeo, which means to frighten, be alarmed, be in awe of, or revere. So we're to fear not falling into God's rest, not entering into God's rest. So
was it 4:1?
Yeah.
Therefore, since the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us be careful that none of you be found to have fallen short of it.
Right. And she's reading out of the NIV. Let me see what I can find here in the other ones. Hebrews. Let us therefore fear, lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. The New American Standard says, therefore let us fear if while a promise remains of entering his rest, any of you may seem to have come short of it. So he's saying, you still right now have the opportunity of entering into God's rest, entering into his kingdom, entering into his eternity, entering into this relationship with him. You still have that ability right now. But you should fear not getting there.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Paul tells the Hebrews. You should fear not getting there. And the word that I was telling you is the Greek word phobeo, and it's to frighten, to be alarmed, to be in awe of, or to revere. So yeah, you should be scared about not getting there. And there are two other verses that we're going to close with that are very similar to this concept. One of them is Matthew 10:28. Tina's going to look at that one. And then the other one is Luke 12:5. So Tina's going to Matthew 10:28. And I'm going to Luke 12:5. You got it?
Yep.
All right, go for it.
And this is the Lord, Jesus speaking.
Yes, this is Jesus speaking.
Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell.
Yep. And Luke 12:5 says, and this again is Jesus speaking. He says, but I will warn you whom to fear. Fear the one who, after he is killed, has authority to cast into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him.
It's pretty forward about that. There's no getting around.
Yeah, there's no playing around. He says, be alarmed, be frightened by God if you choose to ignore my existence. Be frightened not of man who can kill you, but of God who can condemn you to hell.
Right, your soul and body.
Right. Fear not spending your eternity with God. So when we titled this show, What's to Fear? Well, we've told you. Fear your parents. Fear God. Fear your king. Which means your political leaders, because they're the boss over you. As far as rules and regulations.
Right.
And they only have the power that God has given them anyway, so. But then, fear not having the ability to spend your eternity with Christ. With God. Of entering into his rest. Fear that.